Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
Stand with our feet at a 45, our hands outstretched and our head bowed. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Soul Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path. Path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he allows one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served worth to praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant, the last apostle. Ameen. I'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. We have Brother Abdul from Florida. We have Brother Muta Kabir from New Jersey. And we have the Rafiq family. And I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Today, we want to talk about the February 17, 1967 Muhammad Speaks, and it's called Destruction of America is Justified. And there's an article in here from the messenger that we want to deal with, and it is called Black History, the Meaning of Black History. And this is this article right here. It's called The Meaning of Black History. And what we will notice in this cartoon, because the messenger also always had a cartoon to speak and teach black people the truth too. In this cartoon, we have a book, a huge book, that says, Know Yourself, Black Man's History on Earth, No Beginning, No Ending. Then he shows a black man sitting down in the chair like he at school. And on his book, it says, White Man's Limited History. Because the messenger, the difference between the messenger and other groups and other teachings is the messenger rips from the white man his whole foundation. He don't just say like we need to learn black history like other black groups do. Like we just need to learn a little bit about Africa, learn a little bit about this and a little bit. No, you need to know about the white man too. Because he the one who stole your history from you and taught us that he was better than us. So now to tell us the truth, you can't just start talking about Africa. Because we got an inferiority complex now about Africa and about ourselves. So we got to know the root cause of everything. We got to know the root of history. We got to know the root cause of why we believe what we believe, think how we think, why we hate ourselves and all that. So we got to put the white man in. And that's the difference between the messenger and other groups. Other groups just want to teach you history, just simply just history, and leave the white man out. But the messenger is the one who made it plain that we better than the white man. All praise due to Allah. So in this article, The Meaning of Black History, it says, with the approach of annual Negro History Week celebration requests have come in for the printing of this famous article on the subject written early in 1961 by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We herewith reprint it with permission of the author. So these articles that the messenger had in the Muhammad Speaks newspapers, he had to keep saying it over and over and over again. Because just to say it one time wasn't enough. You had to keep telling black people. You had to keep on hearing it, keep on registering it in your mind, keep on trying to unravel the falsehoods that you done heard. Right. Because it takes time to re-educate a man. That's right. You can't just tell somebody something one time and think they're going to understand. You have to keep telling them. So this article that the messenger wrote about the meaning of black history was an article that he originally wrote in 1961 in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And this was 1967. So 6 years later, he's still using the same articles that he used before. So in this article, the messenger says, there is now an effort to celebrate a so-called Negro History Week beginning February 12th, and some of my people will participate. The planning of that week to teach the slave a knowledge of his past is not complete, sufficient, nor comprehensive enough to enable my people to learn the true knowledge of themselves. It is important that my people learn the true knowledge of self, as it means their salvation. The true knowledge of self. Because you got a lot of knowledges of self. Like you could say you are African. And it's true, we came from Africa. That's true. So that is a particular knowledge. But you got to have a true knowledge of self. You can't just have a teaching that might be true. It's true we come from Africa. But that's not the true knowledge of self. The true knowledge of self is your origin, original. What is the root of our history? That's what the messenger taught us, the root of our history. Not just saying, yeah, it's true, I come from Detroit. That's true. I was born in Detroit. All I know is Detroit. I don't know nothing about nothing else, so I can tell you my history here in Detroit. But that's not a true history of me. That's not a true history of my family. Some people might come from the South, and that's true. My father came from the South. That's not a true knowledge of him. That's not a true knowledge of his origin. But we hold on to that stuff like I'm from the South. I'm from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the hood. And we act like we from the hood. We take pride in being from the hood. But that's not your true origin. That's not the root. We need to know the true knowledge of self. And the true knowledge of self is getting to the root and to our origin. And the messenger wrote another article in the message to the black man. And this comes in the section called Answer to the Critics. And this is on page 325. The messenger says, the coming of Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad with truth, which means life and light to us, the mentally dead of the civilized world, cannot be denied and condemned as false. So we also got to realize that we are the mentally dead. That's why we have to be re-educated, because we mentally dead. And the man that caused us to be mentally dead is the white man. We can't leave that out. We also got to be reminded that the white man caused us to be mentally dead, so we need to be re-educated about our true history. And the knowledge that the messenger got was not no knowledge he just researched. Because most people that's giving us history is just giving us research history. Like I can research about my father and find out he came from the South. And tell people, my father from Mississippi, I can tell you where all of them people from, but that's still not the root. That's still not telling you who my father is. That's not telling you who I am. So we had to have a messenger. Somebody that know. Not somebody who gonna research. Because if we mentally dead, where you gonna go research for your history if it's been stolen from? Where you gonna go research? Where would you have the knowledge to go research at? If you here in the wilderness of North America in hell, and the white man done already put the knowledge in such a way where you don't know nothing anyway. So how you gonna even know that you don't know your history? How? Somebody gotta come tell you that. Somebody gotta come teach you that. And who better to teach you than God himself? All praise to Allah.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
That's something that these other people can't say either. They can't say they was taught by God. You might not believe that the messenger was taught by God, but that's what he says. He taught us he was taught by God. And he says that what God taught him can't be denied or condemned as false. Can anybody else say that? It can't be denied or condemned as false. This is what he said before he even started teaching you stuff. What I'm telling you can't be denied or proven as false. Then he goes on to say, he taught me there is no birth record of the black man, but there is a birth record for the white race. Once again, we got to talk about the white man. We always got to keep him in it. We can't leave him out. And when we talking about the birth record of the black man, we got to talk about the birth record of the white man. We got to always, because that's a part of our knowledge of self, is to know the white man. We got to know all people to know a knowledge of self, to even know about our flag. You got to have a knowledge of self. Because in our flag is the sun, moon, and star. What that mean? Sun, moon, and star. Can anybody have that flag? Can anybody have the flag, the sun, moon, and star? No. Because the sun, moon, and stars represent the universe. Yes. Can anybody have that flag? You have many flags of many different countries that represent their country. Like this flag represents America. But can anybody have the sun, moon, and star? Because what you have in your flag represents what your country is entitled to and what your country owns. Right. So all countries can't have the sun, moon, and stars they flag. Right. Because everybody is not the owner of the sun, moon, and star. Right. So this is a heavy flag. Right. That's a real powerful flag to have. Right. The sun, moon, and the star. Right. And to wear the sun, moon, and the star on your clothes. Wear the sun, moon, and star on your ring. Representing the universe. Right. That's the root of our history. All praise due to Allah. So the messenger said, he taught me there is no birth record of the black man, but there is a birth record for the white race. He referred to the black nation as being the original people of the earth, which means the first. So this is why we don't say we Africans. Because when you talk about being an African, that's just talking about some land. That ain't talking about people. When you talk about black, you talking about people. Right. When you talk about white, you talking about people. That's right. So that's a whole different argument. Because when the messenger told us, he went straight at the white man. When you start talking about black, and when you start talking about original, what can the white man say? When you start arguing about the Bible, which was the history that most black people used to talk about the black man, was the Bible. Talking about Noah. And after the flood, Noah had 3 sons. And then the son's name was Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And from these 3 sons, the whole world was populated. How you gonna argue that? How that makes sense? You gonna argue with the white man about Ham, Shem, and Japheth? How you gonna argue with him? This is the Bible that he translated. That's right. This is the Bible that he made to make the truth to where we couldn't understand the truth. Right. So how you about to argue with him about that? But when you ask the question, who is the original man? How he gonna argue with you about that? All praise to Allah. You ain't even gotta say nothing. Just ask the question. Who is the original man? Ask him. Let him ask, who the original man? I just want to know who the original man. You ain't gotta argue. They already look at you and start fumbling. But when you start talking about Shem and Japheth and all of that, they can argue with you about that. Because how can you say who original in that? If you gonna say that the whole earth is populated by 3 people and they brothers. Not that it's 3 different races of people. These 3 people brothers. And from these 3 peoples represent all of the people on the earth. How you gonna argue with that? But when you just ask the question, who is the original man? You ain't gotta argue. You just let them answer for you. So the messenger says, he said that the beginning of the white race came through graftage of the white race from the original people. This is universally agreed upon by the scholars and scientists of the white people, both religious and non-religious. It's the messenger. When you start talking about grafting, you start talking about science. It's different from talking about the Bible. Because the messenger says, he says, this is universally agreed upon by scholars and scientists of the white people, both religious and non-religious. You start talking about Shem and Japheth, I don't go for the Bible. So how you gonna convince me about this Shem and Japheth stuff? I ain't into that. I don't read the Bible. I don't go to church. I don't believe in that at all. But when you start talking about the original man, that's when you start talking about religious and non-religious. That's when you start talking about facts. When you talking about this stuff, this is interpretation. When you start talking about the Bible, it's just interpretation. It's how you want to interpret it. Because you got Jewish people, the white Jews. They interpret it different from how we interpret it. Then you got the Christians. They interpret it different than how we interpret it. Then you got the Muslims, the Orthodox Muslims. They interpret a thing different than how everybody interpret a thing. But when you start talking about the original man, you're talking about science. Right. You're talking about facts. Right. So you can ask an Arab, who was the original man? He ain't about to say he won. Right. Praise to Allah. You can ask anybody. Ask a Chinese man, who was the original man? What he gonna say? Right. That's when you ain't got no arguments. Right. That's how the messenger taught us, get to the root. Right. We ain't talking about just this Africa stuff. Right. We talking about the root. Because you had, I remember, I think it was Bill Gore's wife. She said she African American too. That's what she said. Because she was born in South Africa. She said, I'm African American too. What you gonna say? She was born there. What if she was born with some white folks born in Africa? I'm African American too. Just like an old saying, what they say, just because cats is born in the oven, it don't make them biscuits. It's just the facts. Just because you born somewhere, that don't make that what you are. You got to get to the root. You got to get to the root of the cat. You can't just look at where the cat is born and say, oh, just because he born in the oven, it mean he biscuits. Just because we born in Africa, that don't make us Africans. It don't make anybody can be born in Africa. Just because you born in China. There was some brothers who in the military, we go everywhere. Brothers in China. What if they had kids in China? They Chinese? What if you was a black man and you had children in Japan and you start telling the Japanese people, I'm Japanese? They gonna look at you like you crazy. Because just because you was born in Japan don't mean you Japanese. Because the Japanese people, when they talking about Japan, they talking about people. They're not talking about that land. People name the land. And they name the land after themselves. That's how lands get the name. You don't name people after the land. And that's the confusion we have with this Africa stuff. Because what country in Africa? You got Somalians. Who Africa? You got Ethiopians in Africa. You got Egyptians. So when you say you from Africa, what you saying? Okay, you from Africa, so where in Africa? What people? What tribe? What's that? But when you say the original man, you could be born anywhere and be an original man. Be born in America. Say you're the original man. You could be born in Africa. I'm the original man. You could be born in China. I'm the original man. It don't change. All praise to Allah. And that's why the messenger said this is universally agreed upon by scholars, scientists of the white people, both religious and non-religious. What you gonna say? Ain't nothing you can say. So then the messenger says, that which comes by grafting cannot be equal of the original. Something else is facts. You can't argue with that. That which comes from the original cannot be said to be better than the original. It's facts. It's a lot of stuff that's grafted. Is that better than the original? You got a copy. I remember in the military, we used to make a lot of copies of stuff. The copy is not as a document. The original is what's important. You give anybody a copy. But they want, when we was in the military, when you had a document, they want the original. They don't want no copy. They want the ink. You can tell the difference between an ink signed copy or the original ink sign and the copy. We want the original. You can give anybody the copy. The copy don't matter. But the original is the document that they want. Because the original, the copy comes from the original. And the original is what it is. You don't really need the copy. You making the copy is just some extra. But the original document is what you need. That's what people too. The original. Everybody can't say they original. That's something that gives you pride. Yeah. That's right. Say you original. Because can't nobody argue with that. Can't nobody say they better than you. Even if you at the bottom, you a wino. Right. Oh, praise to Allah. You a wino. Right. You teaching me the original man. He got pride now. That's right. The wino will look at the white man with pride and say, I'm the original man. And he'll drunk. Right. Facts. Right. You get pride now because you know you better. Right. Oh, praise to Allah. You can't argue with that. Right. When you know you better. Right. And all you got to do is go to the root for the black man and teach him who he is. Right. Don't teach him nothing about no African. Don't teach him nothing about no Afro-American. Right. Go to the root. Right. You the original man. Right. You the Asiatic black man from the tribe of Shabazz. Right. All praise to Allah. Right. Even when you start talking about Asiatic, Because the messenger taught us that we are the Asiatic black man from the tribe of Shabazz.
That's right.
And when you talk about Asia, the whole earth was called Asia at one time. North Asia, South Asia, East Asia, West Asia. That's the breakdown. Whole earth. So when we talk about the earth, we talking about the whole thing.
Right.
We're not talking about Africa. We're not talking about South America. We're not talking about America. When we talking about this flag, we talking about everything in the universe.
Right.
That's what we talking about. That's why we don't identify with the Africa stuff. Before Africa, the black man is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, and the God of the universe.
That's right.
The maker.
Right.
We made Africa.
That's right.
All praise due to Allah. We made the white man.
Right.
We made the sun. We made it all.
That's right.
Because when you start talking about original man, then you start talking about God.
Yeah.
When you start going even further to the original thing.
Right.
You can't do that with Africa.
Right.
You can't do that talking about I'm a Chinese.
Right.
You can't do that talking about I'm a Korean. But when you say the original man, that's when you start talking about God, because you're talking about beginnings.
Right.
You're talking about origins.
Right.
Who is the original man? God, the original man.
Right.
All praise to Allah. How you gonna argue with that?
Right.
Who gonna argue with you? They might not believe it. But God is the original man. Even in the Bible, it got clues for you about God.
Right.
But the white man put a little bit of enough spookism into it to confuse us.
Right.
It says that Moses talked to God face to face, as a man speaking to his friend, face to face.
Right.
It ain't say, because if you talking about a spook, you got to explain to us, how do you communicate with a spook?
Right.
If you're a man, you can't tell us that God spoke to the spook face to face. How you know a spook got a face?
Right.
How you know a spook can talk? Because to talk, you have to have a voice.
Right.
Talk.
Right.
You can break that down. How a spook talking? That's like telling me a cat can talk. Cats don't talk. If you say that Moses spoke to God face to face, that means God must be a man.
That's right.
But the white man put enough spookism into it to confuse you. Because it say it spoke through a burning bush. That's the spook part. But instead of us holding on to the man part, we want to hold on to the spook part.
Right.
And be spooky with it.
Right.
Like God is spook.
Right.
Even when it talk about Abraham, it said that God came to Abraham and Abraham fixed him something to eat. How a spook eat? Why would a spook want to eat?
Right.
What a spook want to eat? How does a spook digest what he eat? How does a spook chew what he eat?
Right.
How did he choose? I want chicken. Can he eat chicken? Can he eat vegetables? Can he drink water?
Right.
How you know what to cook a spook?
Right.
But instead of us holding on to the man part, we hold on to the spook part.
Right.
And that's how the white man get us with that Bible.
That's right.
And that's why we say we believe in the truth of the Bible.
Right.
But we believe it has been tampered with and must be reinterpreted.
Right.
So that mankind would not be snared by the falsehoods that's been added to it.
Right.
All praise due to Allah. That's what we got to understand about the Bible.
Right.
So we ain't a group of people that believe in the Bible verse by verse, line by line, and word by word.
Right.
We know that there's truth in it. So if you telling us something that has something to do with truth, we bear witness.
Right.
But that spook stuff, no, we ain't with the spook stuff. So when you have other people just reading and say it in the Bible, so what is said in the Bible? What that mean? Because it just said in the Bible. It got to be reinterpreted. And black people must know that.
Right.
That the Bible needs to be reinterpreted. Because that's how the white man trip us up with the Bible, with that spookism. Spookism mixed with truth. That's what got us snared. And that's what got us not understanding that even though the Bible is the black man's history, but it's enough spookism in it to confuse us.
Right.
So the messenger goes on to say, he says, that which comes by grafting cannot be equal of the original. This is also universally approved, as in the horse and the mule, the orange, grapefruit, and the lemon. The mule is not equal with the horse, and it's not the same. The grapefruit is not like the lemon or like the orange, Although it is grafted from them, it looks more luscious. It's not as good either, however. He says, it is impossible for us to agree that all men are created equally. There is superiority even in animal world. It's the difference with the messenger and everybody else. Superiority.
Right.
We ain't all made equal. We ain't all the same.
That's right.
Superiority,
Right.
even in animals. And this is something that even scientists can agree because it's facts. The same thing. Let's continue on. He says, there is superiority even in the animal world. Some animals are created strong and some are created weak. Some are various and some are vicious and some are harmless. God has created two kinds of everything, so teaches the Holy Quran. And we have these things in reality to study for our own education. That separates the messenger from all these other groups and all the spookism. Because he said that these things are in reality for us to study for our education. Now, the scripture says, guard against being deceived.
That's right.
What it says. How can you guard against being deceived if you believe something that's not in reality? How you gonna know? If it say that Jesus died and he rose again, how you gonna guard against being deceived if that's not in reality? You can't study that.
Right.
You ain't never seen nobody else to do that. You ain't even never heard of nobody else doing that. So how can you guard against being deceived if you don't even know, or that's not something that took place in reality? How would you know? How can you guard against being deceived? But Allah, the God, puts things in nature for us to study. That's how you guard against being deceived.
Right.
You like, man, that ain't never happened before. Or show me how that happens.
Right.
Show me how that works so I can study. So I can go back and look it up for myself. But if you telling somebody something that they can't understand, they can't study it, they just got to believe you, then 9 times out of 10 they lying.
Right.
All praise due to Allah. You just got to trust you. Who you going to trust?
Right.
Why I got to trust you? Just tell me how you got that. How you come up with that?
Right.
Just tell me that. How did you come up with that?
Right.
To tell me that something in reality I'm supposed to trust and just believe so hard. It'll be different if you could just say, okay, I don't know.
Right.
But they say if you don't believe this, you can go to hell for eternity.
Right.
Ain't nothing in the world gonna be where you can't study it to see if it's true that has that much consequences connected to it. That if you don't believe this, you can go to hell for eternity. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. So the messenger taught us that we have these things in reality to study for our own education. Now let's look at that. Because we want to look at what's in reality for us to study for our own education, to see this grafting thing. For us to understand, to see what it is. This comes from the book called The Doberman Pinscher by Janice Binnick. It says the Doberman's German heritage. Because everything got a beginning. Everything got an origin that you can study.
Right.
Ain't nothing just spooky for you to just believe that you can't study and research. So even the dog, the German Shepherd, has an origin. So it says, how did this unique combination of genes result in the magnificently sleek and impressively powerful animal we see today? In the late 1800s, it was the dream of Herr Karl Louis Doberman of Apolda in the province of Thuringia, Germany, to create a superior canine guardian. So he wanted to create a dog, a guardian for him. That's how the German Shepherd came. This man said, hey, I want a dog to be a guardian. So this is the origin of the Doberman Pinscher. It says, as a tax collector, personal protection was a priority for him. And as a dog fancier and night watchman for the public dog shelter of Apolda, he had access to a large and various canine gene pool for which to experiment. So he had to place with the dogs. So he can choose from the genes. Say, well, if I want a black dog, a small dog, a tall dog, dog with blue eyes, dog with green eyes, he had to place for the gene pool to select how I'm about to make this dog. That's something that's in nature that we can study. When we start talking about the white man is grafted, this ain't just something we telling you to believe. It's a lot of things in nature that you can study to understand what the messenger says when he said that the white man is a grafted race of people. So it says, in the process of developing a dog with boldness, agility, bravery, alertness, and intelligence, Louis Doberman also sought a pleasing appearance after his own fancy. By 1880, he was thoroughly involved in creating what he considered the ideal dog, a large version of a terrier with the same fiery attitude and physical abilities, hence the later appearance or application of the word pinscher, a German term for terrier, to describe these dogs. At the time, however, they were simply known as Doberman's dogs. Now, all of this time we done heard about a Doberman pinscher. We never thought that that was a man's name. The man who made the dog. We didn't know that. We just thought that's what else. A German Shepherd might be too much dog. That's why they use the German Shepherds for police dogs. Because once you train the German Shepherd as a dog, since the way he bred, he already into that. They even talked about how some dogs with the diseases that they get, because the breeders want certain kind of dogs, which makes them have hip problems. Because maybe they might be too big at the top and too small at the bottom. That's the dilemma of breeding. That's the kind of dog you want. Some of them want the nose in, some of them want the nose poked out. I mean, they get all into this breeding of dogs. Talking about grafting. Then you can go even further into grafting when you talk about fruit. They talk about that. But the messenger is the one. And this is what we always got to remember. The messenger is the one who taught us the truth of reality. These other groups did. And we always want to give an example. Because we got all these new school groups out trying to challenge the messenger. Challenge what he taught us with this new school stuff. This book is called From Babylon to Timbuktu. It says a history of the ancient black race, including the black Hebrews. And they got a section in this book called the origin of the white race. Now, when you wanted to know the origin of the white race, wasn't no black people talking about no origin of no white race to the message. So now you want to start telling us but your origin contradicts the origin of the message. That's the thing that we got to remember with these other groups when they come out with all of this being diverse in their topics and what they talking about. They only trying to contradict the message. They not coming out with this stuff to complement what the messenger said. They want to try to contradict what the messenger said. Now this brother said in his book, he says, after the destruction of mankind by the flood, Noah and his wife, his 3 sons and their wives were the only people that were saved. The son of Noah were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. From these 3 sons of Noah was the whole earth populated. Now, if you notice it here, black people only know about the Bible. That's all they know. They can't get scientific with this. So they want you to stick to the Bible. That's what the Bible said. The Bible said that, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And they give a black interpretation to that. That's as heavy as another group can get. Just take what the white man already taught and make it black. That's all they gonna do. They ain't gonna get scientific. You can't get scientific with that. Telling a person that Shem, Ham, and Japheth, these 3 sons, is the reason why the earth is populated with all these people. Because you got sons and daughters. From your 3 sons, will you in a few thousand years have Chinese people? In a few thousand years have some Jamaicans and have some Koreans, have some Japanese? With your 3 sons so high, I know it could do. Don't make sense. But if you stuck in that Bible, you got to believe in that spookism. That spookism, God can do anything. That's what they do. They don't have nothing for you to study to go back and research what you saying. You got to be a believer in their particular religion. You got to be a believer in their particular way of thinking. But if you're a person that don't go for that, How you gonna convince a person that this how the earth was populated? But with the messenger, you can go to scientists and talk to your original man. Right. Anybody, whether you believe in religion or not. So they talking about the sons of Noah were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Because the world was populated from these three sons of Noah, it is popular to classify men only according to this classification: Shemites, Hamites, and Japhites. You could just say the black man. You ain't got to, with this nonsense, you got to go back, well, am I a Japhite, am I a Shemite? And you got to go to the Bible and look at all these people and say, well, my daddy from Mississippi, how I'm a Levite, a Japhite, and all that. But if you just say the black man, the original man, everybody can find where they go. All praise due to Allah. You ain't got to be looking in the Bible talking about am I a Japhite, a Shemite, a Hamite, and all that old nonsense. It's foolishness. But this stuff what people believe. And they try to challenge the messenger with this stuff. And then we can go even further than that. We can go to the philosophy and opinions of a Marcus Garvey. The title says, God not interested in the physical activities of man. It's Marcus Garvey. Because a lot of people like to say that the messenger copied off Marcus Garvey. And this is the thing we need to understand. You have nationalism. People who believe they supposed to have their own. You got Chinese nationalism, you got Korean nationalism, you got African nationalism, you got Arab nationalism. And all these different nationalisms, you find similarities. Because they want land. They want their own culture. They want their own language, and they have race pride. So you're going to find some similarities in that. But when you find the Chinese going to Africa with Chinese nationalism, it ain't the same as Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. Right. It's different. Right. But you can find some similarities because the Chinese trying to take over Africa. Just like Mugabe trying to take over his country. But you can find similarities, but when you talk about the ideology, when you talk about the race pride, totally different. Totally different. The same with the messenger and Marcus Garvey. You can find similarities. Because Marcus Garvey thought the black man should have his own, just like the messenger. Right. But when you look at what Marcus Garvey teach, the base of what he taught, and the base of what the messenger taught, totally different. Right. But the reason why groups like to say that the messenger copied from Marcus Garvey is because they don't want to accept the messenger. Mm-hmm. And when they copy from the messenger, they'll say, well, he copied from Marcus Garvey. So I ain't really copying from him. I like Garvey, but he copied from Garvey, so I'm going to just take it from him. But when you look at what Marcus Garvey taught and compare it to what the messenger taught, you will see the difference. It says, and the title of this comes from the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. It says, God not interested in the physical activities of man. It says, realizing that Christ came to save all mankind from the fallen state, to restore man to his spiritual kinship with his God. Now, if you know anything about the message, this ain't nothing. What the messenger steal or borrow from this brother? And he talking about realizing that Christ came to save all mankind. Messenger ain't say nothing about that. Christ coming to save no, Christ is the crusher. Right. Come to crush the wicked in the world. That's what the messenger said. He didn't say nothing about Christ came to save mankind. But this is what Marcus Garvey says. He goes on to say, some of us seem to believe that Christ and God the Father are responsible for all of our ills, physical ills. They have nothing to do with our physical ills. I repeat, God is not, and Jesus is not interested in the bodies of men. That's what he said. The messenger didn't never say that. The messenger taught us that God is a man. All praise to Allah. So if God is a man, God interested in our bodies. Because God created his body. God created his body superior. So God is interested in our bodies. But Marcus Garvey said God ain't created in our body. Christ came to save everybody. The messenger ain't say that. It says if you want to care for your body, that is the privilege and prerogative given to you by God. If you want to destroy it, that is the same privilege and prerogative He has given. If you want to commit suicide, that is your business. If you want to live, that is your business. God has given you the power. He has made you a free agent as far as the physical in life goes. All that God is interested in is the spiritual. That is you, that he said that you cannot kill. Because the moment you destroy the physical body, God lays claim to the physical with which you are endowed. The spiritual is never yours. The spiritual is always God's, but the physical is your own property. If you want to break your physical life up, that is all your business. God does not interfere, and that should be the Negro's interpretation in the 20th century of Christ's religion. Marcus Garvey's God don't interfere. Our God interfered. He interfered in 1930. Right. That's what the messenger said. He came from Mecca in 1930. He interfered. All praise to Allah. So when you look at Marcus Garvey and what he taught, it's totally different from the messenger. Right. How the messenger gonna copy from this? So where did the messenger get God came in 1930? Where did he get God as a man? Where did he get the original man? How did he get how to eat to live? Because that's your physical. Right. If he ain't worried about your physical, he ain't worried about what you eat. Right. You can eat hard if you want to eat hard. Because he ain't worried about your physical. If you want to commit suicide, that's up to you. It's your prerogative. That's what Marcus Garvey said. But the messenger ain't say nothing close to that. But because people want to hate on the messenger, they want to make it seem like the messenger copied off Marcus Garvey because they want to copy off the messenger. And this is something else that a lot of people never talk about with this Marcus Garvey thing. This comes from the January 15, 1965 Muhammad Speaks. And this is when Marcus Garvey's second wife wrote to the messenger. This is something that most people don't talk about when they say that the messenger copied from Marcus Garvey. And this is why the documented history is better than all of this oral stuff, listening to people talk. It says, letter to Mr. Muhammad from the wife of the late Marcus Garvey. It says, Mrs. Amy Ashwood Garvey is the first wife of the late Marcus Garvey and co-founder of the Black to Africa movement. She was the co-founder of this. So she's not just somebody who ain't never met Marcus Garvey like most of these people who criticize the messenger talking about he copied from Marcus Garvey. She was with him. She was the co-founder. So she was in it from the beginning. Co-founder, and she wrote to the messenger. And it says she is now a citizen of Liberia and resides in the Liberian capital of Monrovia, where she is engaged in writing the story of Africa. She will be happy to hear from friends in the Americas and elsewhere with whom she has been out of touch for many years. Correspondence should be addressed Miss Amy Ashwood Garvey, P.O. Box 642, Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa. So she want other people to write her back when she wrote to the messenger. She says, I have been deeply impressed by Messenger Elijah Muhammad's message of freedom and unity in the March 18th issue of Muhammad Speaks, and I wish to compliment him on it. The idea of creating Negro markets which can provide food, clothing, and housing for them is a notable and humanitarian one. That is what the masses need in Africa today. And you who live in the greatest manufacturing country in the world have the opportunity to extend such facilities to your brothers in Africa. She says, I sincerely share Messenger Muhammad's desire to see Negroes united in the cause of liberation themselves for the shackles of economic and political servitude. She said she shared. She didn't act like the messenger was copying something. She said, I believe like he believed. You know, I share his idea. She didn't say that he following in my husband's footsteps. My husband was the first to come up with that. She said, I share with him in his belief or in his idea. Then she didn't say, in fact, I would say that they should even go as far as forming their own political party. The word Negro might soon become obsolete. It is gratifying to see another dynamic figure has arrived in the area of world affairs. Another. She didn't say the same. She said it is gratifying to see another dynamic figure. she co-founded this Back to Africa stuff with Marcus Garvey. That's like us. When we see people like Dr. Sabi copying from the message, I ain't writing them no letter talking about it's gratifying to see another Dr. Sabi teach us how to eat to live. I ain't writing that because he copying from the message. Right. So if the messenger was copying from Garvey, why would she write him a letter say it's gratifying? See another dynamic figure. Not only a man talking, a dynamic figure. This is what she said in her letter that she wrote to the messenger. Then it goes on from there. This is the 1967 Muhammad Speaks. No, this ain't the one. Sorry. This Muhammad Speaks. This is the October 6, 1967 Muhammad Speaks. Not only did she write a letter to the messenger, she came to the temple. 1967. It says, throngs of Miamians were on hand to applaud and listen to the words of Miss Amy Austin Ashwood Garvey, widow of the late Marcus Garvey, as she spoke of black people uniting throughout the world and praised the life-giving programs of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. During a special presentation at Muhammad's Mosque of Islam number 29 with Miss Garvey and Mosque number 29, Minister Troy Beck. So this is the minister and this is his wife. She came to the temple. She didn't say that the messenger was copying. None of that. She was happy to see it's another black man trying to uplift the black man. Right. She didn't say nothing about copying. So we want to go even further than that and talk about our flag. That's what we want to talk about. Because to understand that the black man is the original man, we got to understand a little bit about our flag, which is the sun, moon, and stars. And we also got to realize that Islam is versus Christianity. It ain't the same. Right. It's the black man versus the white man. Right. It ain't the same. Right. A lot of people like to make it or try to find some good white people. Ain't no good white people. It's the black man versus the white man. Right. Just like it's all righteous black people. We just been in the hands of an enemy. That's right. That's what you got to understand. You can't change what Allah made. Right. If Allah made you righteous, you righteous. Mm-hmm. You might have been taught by an enemy to be wicked. And your enemy stole your knowledge of self and taught you his way of life. Right. And just like you had with the dog, it's named after Doberman because he made the dog. Right. All of the filth and indecency that was made by the white man, he put his name on. All the alcohol we drink, a Miller Lite, it's a man named Miller. Right. Budweiser, right. Cavassier, Hennessy, all that, them white men's names. Right. When you look at the guns they got, the Colt 45, the Beretta, all that, white man's names is a car. Ford, Chrysler, our names, Washington, Jackson, Jones, Smith. We belong to the white man. Right. We was in the hands of the white man. Right. We act like the white man. We think like the white man. And that's why we drink alcohol. Right. That's why we act a fool. That's why we kill each other. Right. That's why we hate each other, because we acting like him. Right. All praise is due to Allah.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
You gotta remember that. Once you get your own name, once you get your own mind, once you get your own flag, you don't act like the white man no more. All praise due to Allah. You don't even love him no more. Now when you get your own, you ain't gotta love him for what? Why you gotta love a rat? This ain't your house. You ain't gotta love no rat. This is my house. Right. This ain't the rat house. If I was in the rat house, I'd leave. This is my house. I ain't gotta love no rat. I can kill a rat. Right. I ain't gotta keep him in my house. Right. God gonna kill the white man. That's what the messenger said. All praise due to Allah. He said that we'll forgive him if we had the chance. Right. But he said Allah gonna kill him. Right. That's a stronger word when you say kill him. Right. Not only that, the messenger said even the white people that's overseas trying to run, say Allah gonna gather them all up and bring them American devils and burn them alive here in America. That's how the messengers used to talk. That's why it's good to have these old Muhammad Speaks newspapers. Because a lot of people try to water down how the messenger talk. How he talk about the devil. He ain't never show me what the messenger said a good white man. A good Jew. He told us that the Orthodox Jew, we can eat their food. Because, not because the Orthodox Jew is good. Because the Orthodox Jew trying hard to follow after the law that Moses gave. That's why we can eat the Orthodox Jew food, not because they good. Right. Not because it's a good Jew. No. Because they trying to follow the laws of Islam. That's why we can eat their food. They're the only people food we can eat. We can eat the Muslims' food. Let's make that clear. Ain't no good white people. Only white people that we can eat their food and that will help us is those who trying to follow the law of Islam. Them are the ones who Allah gonna be merciful to. But the other ones, young and old, babies, baby devils, they gonna get it too. Because they a devil. They was made a devil. Just like that Doberman picture. The baby Doberman picture is just like the adult Doberman picture. Ain't no difference. They do a lot. What Doberman put in the baby is in the adult. So if you don't like the adult, you don't like the baby. Pit bull, same way. The little baby pit bull might not attack you like the grown one will. But when he get old, he got in him the same thing that adult pit bull got in him. The little baby blue-eyed devil got the same thing in him that the grown devil got. All praise due to Allah. All praise due to Allah. I know I read something in the Muhammad speech. They say a good white man is a dead white man. I used to talk. That's why I love reading these old Muhammad speech. Newspaper. Sometimes you need to hear it. Stop hearing all this watered down stuff. I want to hear that raw stuff. God gonna kill the devil. He gonna kill him and they can't get mad at me. That's what the messenger said. I'm just saying what he said. That's how we put it on the message. That's what he said. We still got these Muhammad speech newspapers online. Why I can't say what it say? He said they gonna kill the devil. He said he was gonna take all the white people from overseas that was born in America and burn them alive. He said, if God came and told us that as black people, why should we be ashamed of that? Why should we be ashamed that our God love us so much that he'll kill the devils who've been killing us? Why we ashamed? Why we gonna hide it? Why we gonna hide it? Why we don't want to say it? Why we want to say it's a good devil? For what? These white people been teaching you so much to hate yourself, but you want to have some slack for them. No, ain't no devil good. They said, I was reading something about abortion. They was talking about that the white man's birth, there are more white people there are not enough births that match the deaths. So that's why they having this abortion thing. To where they don't, in Alabama, they banning abortion. We might look at it like the white man, he getting some righteousness in his heart. No, he don't want no more abortions. Because Allah is putting on him the same thing that he tried to put on us. That's what the messenger taught us that God was going to do to the devil. The same thing he tried to do to us is being done to him in his government. The same confusion he put in us, Allah putting it in his government. The same way he killed our babies, Allah is killing his babies. Them facts. The same way they used to do us, them floods that they having over in the West, them fires that they have, who feels sorry for them? For what? What they used to do to us? Read some of the messages teachers. Get the fear out of our hearts about the white man. All praise due to Allah. We won't love him no more. Once you know the truth, that you're the original man. You ain't got to love him. You made him. You made him to be evil just like Doberman made the dog. When Doberman gets sick of the dog, he can destroy the dog because he know what he put in the dog. He know how long the dog will live. He know what the qualities of the dog, the deficiencies of the dog. He know the dog because he made the dog. That's the same thing with the white man. And that's why the messenger taught us that God or Allah put these things in reality for us to study. Because these things are stuff that we made. And that's to kill the spook. So we can see the natural things of reality. So that when we believe a thing, it has to be in line with reality. Not spookism. Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I leave you as I came in the nation of Islam, greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation. Visit us in person every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit. For more information, 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033.
Rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful. So, Master, the day of judgment in which we now live, thee alone do we serve, and thee alone beseech for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves, and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.